the headlines for this hour on VTV News. Vietnam-US urge strengthening cooperation in education and technology. Thailand investigates still samples from QUAKE-HIT Bangkok building. And Vietnam strengthens positions as an attractive destination for FDI capital.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Hello, it's 8 a.m. local time in Hanoi. You're watching VTV News. During a meeting with the U.S. Ambassador to Vietnam, Mark Knappers, on Tuesday, Party General Secretary Tô Lâm reiterated that Vietnam consistently regards the United States as a top strategic partner and seeks to work closely to further develop their relationship substantively and more deeply. He emphasized the importance of effectively implementing the commitments outlined in the joint statement and the action plan for the comprehensive strategic partnership. Ambassador Mark Knappers highlighted Vietnam as a crucial partner in the global supply chain and a promising market for U.S. products and services. The U.S. ambassador committed to advancing the comprehensive strategic partnership across all key pillars, particularly through high-level exchanges and expanding substantive cooperation in economy, trade, investment, defense, security, education and training, mitigation issues, transnational crime prevention, and other priority fields. President of Burundi, Evariste Ndayishimiye, and his spouse will pay an official visit to Vietnam this week, according to a statement from the Vietnamese Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Taking place from April 3rd to 6th, the trip will be made at the invitation of State President of Vietnam, Luong Quang, and his spouse. During a meeting with 21 U.S. university leaders attending an international academic exchange program on Monday, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính urged U.S. universities to strengthen cooperation with their Vietnamese counterparts. He also advocated for them to offer more scholarship for students and researchers and affirmed Vietnam's readiness to provide scholarship for U.S. students.
Representatives of U.S. universities praised Vietnam's development strategy. They expressed willingness to collaborate in education, training, science, technology, and innovation. They also emphasized the importance of enhancing workforce quality and facilitating student and faculty exchanges. Welcoming the largest ever delegation of U.S. university leaders to Vietnam, Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh highlighted the remarkable progress in Vietnam-U.S. relations over the past 30 years. He shared Vietnam's key development goals, stating that the country aims to achieve an economic growth rate of over 8% this year and double-digit growth in the following years. He also noted Vietnam's ongoing major reforms, including restructuring government agencies, reducing administrative procedures and compliance costs by at least 30%, and promoting digital transformation, technological innovation, and the private sector as key growth drivers. The Prime Minister called for long-term, sustainable, and effective collaboration between universities in both countries, particularly in high-tech fields such as artificial intelligence, semiconductors, biotechnology, healthcare, agriculture, and foreign languages.
Recently, many major U.S. corporations such as Intel, Insys, NVIDIA, and Apple have invested in and expanded their ecosystems in Vietnam. This integration between research, education, and businesses is exactly what we need. We are also exploring space science and maritime research, areas where U.S. cooperation would be invaluable, alongside deep-sea and underground resource exploration.
The Prime Minister also urged U.S. universities to advocate for Vietnam's recognition as a market economy, push for removing high-tech export restrictions on Vietnam, and the elimination of policies that could negatively impact bilateral economic and trade relations. He reaffirmed Vietnam's commitment to addressing trade imbalances and responding to U.S. concerns to foster continued economic growth.
The 9th sessions of the 15th National Assembly is set to open on May 5th, earlier than usual, to address a broad agenda. This on Monday afternoon, the new timing was announced at the Standing Committee of the National Assembly meeting. The 9th session will review constitutional amendments and decide on 44 legislative items, 12 key issues tied to socio-economic development, the state budget, oversight, and other key matters. The 9th session will last 35.5 days and will be conducted over 2 phases. In addition, the 11th plenary session of the Party Central Committee is scheduled for early April. National Assembly Chairman Trần Thanh Mẫn urged the relevant agencies to promptly finalize documents for submissions to the Standing Committee of the National Assembly. National Assembly Chairman Trần Thanh Mẫn will lead a high-ranking Vietnamese delegation to the 150th Inter-Parliamentary Union IPU Assembly and pay official visit to Uzbekistan and Armenia from April 2nd to April 8th. The trip reaffirms Vietnam's active role in the IPU. It aims to enhance parliamentary cooperation with traditional partners, fostering a favorable environment for national development.
Vietnam has been an active and responsible member of the IPU since joining in 1979. It hosts the IPU 132 Assembly and the Global Young Parliamentarians Conference. This year's Parliamentary Action for Social Development and Justice themed IPU Assembly provides a platform for legislatures to review and coordinate efforts to advance sustainable development goals. Vietnam's participation underscores its strong support for multilateralism and commitment as a proactive IPU member.
Vietnam contributes ideas and initiatives to the IPU and global parliamentary efforts, particularly in promoting peace, cooperation, and sustainable development.
Alongside the IPU Assembly, National Assembly Chair Trần Thanh Mẫn visits to Uzbekistan and Armenia highlight Vietnam's commitment to strengthening political trust and expanding economic, trade, and investment ties with both nations.
This is the first visit by a senior Vietnamese leader to these countries. The goal is to reinforce traditional ties and explore new opportunities for cooperation. Leaders and citizens of both Armenia and Uzbekistan hold deep affection for Vietnam.
Vietnam has strong export potential in agriculture, seafood, textiles, and electronics for Uzbekistan and Armenia. Both sides can enhance collaboration in education, technology, digital transformation, and clean energy.
National Assembly Chair Trần Thanh Mẫn visit aligns with Vietnam's foreign policy direction set by the 13th Party Congress and Directive 25 on strengthening multilateral diplomacy, leveraging international support to advance national development.
Coming up next on VTV News, Myanmar quake death toll hits 1,700 as aid scramble intensified. Thailand investigates steel samples from QUAKE-HIT Bangkok building. A devastating earthquake struck last Friday, killing about 1,700 people in Myanmar and at least 18 in neighboring Thailand. The death toll in Myanmar continues to rise as foreign rescue teams and aid pour into the impoverished country, where overwhelmed hospitals and local communities scramble to conduct rescue efforts with limited resources.
Myanmar authorities and international rescue teams are searching for about 300 people still missing. The health system is under enormous pressure, with 3,400 injuries, limited surgical capacity, and a shortage of medical equipment. Electricity and water supplies remain disrupted, hindering access to health services and increasing the risk of infectious disease outbreaks like cholera and dengue fever.
This is an absolute catastrophe for children and family across Myanmar. Many homes have been destroyed, road and bridge damaged, Many children and families are still missing and traumatized. We need urgent assistance, especially for the children, who often suffer the most in these kinds of situations.
Rescue teams and aid from countries around the world, including Vietnam, have been sent to Myanmar to help with the earthquake's aftermath. This morning, rescue forces saved a pregnant woman trapped for 60 hours in the rubble of a building in Mandalay, offering a glimmer of hope to teams racing to find more survivors.
4 earthquakes struck Kon Plum district, Kon Tum province on Monday morning. These earthquakes were small scale with magnitudes ranging from 2.6 to 3.1, causing no damage or risk of natural disasters. Since 2021, hundreds of earthquakes have occurred in Kon Plum. Experts attribute these earthquakes to reservoir operations in the area. The Institute of Earth Sciences continue to monitor seismic activity in the region. More than 300 apartments in District 8, Ho Chi Minh City have developed cracks in their walls. The damage is suspected to have been caused by a last Friday earthquake in Myanmar. Concerned residents are growing increasingly worried about the structural integrity of their homes. To assess situations, a VTV reporter visited an apartment complex to investigate the situation.
Multiple cracks appeared in Diamond Riverside apartment building after the earthquake on the afternoon of March 28th. Though the cracks are small, they have caused significant anxiety and concern among residents.
When I entered the house, the first thing I did was open the door and inspect the surroundings. I immediately noticed cracks and fallen bricks. I found similar damage outside the loggia, where the cracks appeared to be quite deep.
Upon returning home after the earthquake, QUAKE discovered numerous cracks near the main door. The fissures spread from the exterior walls to the interior, appearing across multiple rooms throughout the apartment.
The damage in my apartment is quite serious, so I hope the management board will coordinate with the investor to find a solution for us.
As of noon on Saturday, more than 340 apartments in the building have been affected. During the inspection, the management board found cracks primarily where lightweight brick meets reinforced concrete, causing concern despite their small size.
Followed by a reassessment of the reinforced concrete structure. So far, no abnormalities have been detected in the building's main structure.
Diamond Riverside has over 1,600 units with nearly 5,000 residents. The management board has sent a list of affected apartments to their insurance company for evaluation and advised residents to hold off on repairs until a solution is determined.
Thai officials said on Monday that they were investigating metal and steel parts taken from the QUAKE-HIT construction site in Bangkok. The investigation was launched on Friday after the unfinished 30-story building collapsed in the biggest earthquake to ever hit neighboring Myanmar in a century, with tremor felt in parts of Thailand. More to follow.
An anti-corruption watchdog had flagged irregularities in the construction of the skyscraper that collapsed and killed at least 19 people. The building has also drawn attention for being the only one in the metropolis to collapse entirely.
Yeah, I think we need to find to the root cause, so at least we can have some lesson learned and improvement on the building regulations. Maybe not at this, not today, not at this hour. We continue investigation, but finally we will have some results.
The government has now announced an investigation into the cause of the tower's collapse, which was built by a Chinese company and a long-established Thai construction firm. Sample cuts from a metalwork retrieved from the site were analyzed to test its composition. According to industry ministry officials who witnessed the process, the results of the test, carried out by the Thai Industrial Standards Institute, are expected later in the day.
U.S. President Donald Trump said on Sunday that reciprocal tariff he plans to unveil this week will apply to all nations, not just a select group of 15 or 10 to 15 countries with the largest trade imbalances. The U.S. President announced he would impose a suite of reciprocal tariff against nations that charge fees on U.S. exports, promising to match those country duties. Earlier in February, he signed a memorandum that directed U.S. trade officials to go country by country and put together a list of tailored countermeasures. According to schedules, the tariff plan will be imposed this Wednesday. In 2024, the number of users of generative artificial intelligence AI services in South Korea nearly doubled year over year, equivalent to a third of the total population. In a survey on internet usage conducted by the Ministry of Science and ICT, the number of respondents who use generative AI services jumped to 33.3% last year from 17.6% a year ago. The outcome means 1 out of 3 South Korean internet users have experienced generative AI services, such as ChatGPT, the AI chatbot created by US-based OpenAI. Nearly 82% of the users looked up generative AI services for information research. In comparison, 44% of them use such services for assistance with paperwork and 40% for foreign language translation. Hannover Messe's 2025, one of the leading industrial trade fairs worldwide, kicked off on Monday in Germany. The exhibition attracted almost 4,000 exhibitors from around 150 countries and regions, with a clear emphasis on cutting-edge technological innovations. These include artificial intelligence, robotics, mechanical engineering, drive technology, and energy production. The German Mechanical Engineering Industry Association expects a surge in large orders at this year's Hannover Messe, while Europe's largest economy is heading into a third consecutive year of recession. Most businesses remain confident that Germany will maintain its leading positions in the industrial sector. Coming up next, Vietnam strengthens positions as attractive destination for FDI capital. And private sector growing influence in propelling nation's economy. According to the Ministry of Finance, Vietnam has been improving its infrastructure and enhancing the investment environment to attract high-quality foreign direct investment FDI. To achieve investment attraction goals, Vietnam is actively implementing 7 key measures. Notably, Vietnam is offering special investment incentives such as a preferential tax rate of 5% for up to 37 years and tax exemption for up to 6 years, with a 50% reduction for an additional 13 years for innovation centers and research and development R&D facilities, with investment exceeding 3 trillion Vietnam dong, approximately $125 million US. Bắc Ninh led the nation in investment attractions in the first quarter of this year, securing over $2.2 billion US in capital. During a ceremony on Monday, the Bắc Ninh People's Committee granted investment certificates to 14 domestic and 6 foreign companies. 4 companies also expanded their investments by nearly $400 million US. The provincial leadership reaffirmed its commitment to providing favorable investors' conditions. Additionally, 2 Chinese high-tech factory projects with a combined investment of $600 million US broke ground at the VTV4 Bắc Ninh 2 Industrial Park. Party General Secretary Tô Lâm has highlighted the private sector role as the most crucial driving force, a pioneer and a key driver for fostering a prosperous Vietnam. This perspective is expected to inject new momentum and vitality into the private sector and the economy.
Dr. Nguyễn Đình Cung was a key figure in drafting the company law and the law on private enterprises in 1990 and the chief architect of the law on enterprises in 1999, both bringing critical legal frameworks for private sector growth. Based on his observations, every time the party and state conduct a fresh, objective reassessment of the private sector, it gains more opportunities to contribute to economic development.
Party General Secretary Tô Lâm directive marks a shift in perspective, one that focuses on the dynamism, potential, and growing influence of private enterprises. This period presents an unprecedented opportunity. If reforms are not implemented now, they may become nearly impossible in the future.
Design or necessity, private enterprises have already assumed a leading role and assumed leading influences in many sectors, including emerging and demanding ones.
Over 4 decades of economic reform, the private sector has evolved from being unrecognized to contributing 51% of GDP and over 70% of export turnover. It is also the primary driver of job creation, innovation, and technological advancement. However, private enterprises require further institutional and policy support to maintain this pioneering role as existing regulatory frameworks have become restrictive.
The private business community hopes for greater access to sectors traditionally dominated by state-owned enterprises and foreign direct investment, FDI.
To unlock further breakthroughs, many legal barriers must be removed. Business regulations should center around freedom, safety, and asset protection.
In the near future, the Politburo is set to issue a resolution on private sector development, accompanied by institutional reforms and groundbreaking policies. These measures aim to ensure that private enterprises enjoy equal access to vital resources such as capital, land, human resources, and technology. With these reforms in place, the private sector is poised to become a true catalyst for a thriving Vietnam.
The northern mountainous province of Lào Cai and China's Yunnan province broke ground on the road bridge across the Red River in the Bát Sát, Lào Cai province, Vietnam, and Ba Sai, Yunnan province, China border area on March 31st. The project involves a total investment of $58.6 billion. The main bridge spanning the Red River is a 35-meter wide, low-tower cable stay design consisting of 3 spans totaling 230 meters. The bridge will be a vital transportation link, reducing travel time while promoting trade development, tourism, and cultural exchanges between the two countries. It is expected to be completed by June 30th, 2026. The Ministry of Finance has proposed extending the 2% value-added tax VAT reduction for essential goods and services and expanding the list of eligible items. This move aims to boost consumer demand, support businesses, and drive economic recovery.
Ming, a regular shopper, believes the 2% VAT reduction, while not large per item, adds up when applied to multiple products.
If I spend $40 a week at the supermarket, that's a lot of savings by the end of the month. If I can save like this, I'd like to shop even more.
Saving a 2% on the cost of goods allows us and our suppliers to reinvest in essential products, expand our range, and diversify our inventory. With purchasing power slowing down due to various external challenges, continuing the 2% VAT reduction across more goods for a longer period is expected to increase overall demand and control inflation.
Businesses can reduce fixed costs due to the VAT cut, which lowers prices for consumers. The reduction in input costs makes companies more competitive.
A further reduction in VAT is a key policy for consumers, especially for those in remote and disadvantaged areas, motivating them to spend more.
According to the Ministry of Finance, the VAT reduction is projected to reduce state revenue by approximately $4.76 billion in the last half of 2025 and next year. The ministry plans to intensify tax administrative reforms and accelerate digital transformation.
Vietnam's classical music scene is experiencing remarkable dynamism. An increasing number of national and international events are being held across the country, providing audiences with greater opportunities to enjoy world-class performances while deepening the appreciation for classical music.
Pianist Lương Khánh Nhi is the first Vietnamese artist to win third prize at the prestigious Leeds International Piano Competition. This marks the most significant achievement for a Vietnamese pianist since pianist Đặng Thái Sơn victory at the 1980 International Chopin Piano Competition. Her recent performance in Vietnam was her first since receiving this prestigious award.
I left Vietnam 10 years ago, and classical music was still relatively unfamiliar to the public then. But now, with the increasing number of performances and the construction of new theaters in Hanoi, it feels like a turning point. This is an incredible opportunity for orchestras to perform.
In 2024, Vietnam's classical music scene has seen a surge in concerts featuring international and Vietnamese artists. The emergence of new orchestras, the establishment of world-class theaters, and collaborations with international musicians have made classical music more appealing to the public.
It inspires Vietnamese artists to strive for greater excellence and elevates the country's classical music scene to an international standard.
In the past, audiences had to travel to cities like Singapore, Seoul, Tokyo, or Beijing to experience performances in such grand venues. Now, world-class classical concerts can be enjoyed right in the heart of Hanoi.
While classical music in Vietnam is flourishing, greater investment and support are needed to ensure its continued growth and accessibility. Countries like the US, Japan, South Korea, and China have invested substantially in academic arts. This calls for greater efforts to elevate Vietnam's classical music.
And now, as usual, let's continue with the weather forecast. And that's it for this hour on VTV News. To rewatch our program, you can log on to VTVgo.vn or download our mobile application VTVgo. Thanks for watching and goodbye for now.